And hello everybody and welcome to the Movie Pit podcast. I am your host, Christian. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast this week. It is, it's a big one. We got some big news items to talk about, but this week felt a little weird. It's weird on both the news items front and my own personal front. Going to my personal front, you may have noticed if you like the Facebook page, facebook.com/MoviePit. That's facebook.com/MoviePit. Link will be down below in the description/show notes area. You may have noticed that I haven't been updating the page. It's been a pretty crazy week here at my place. We're doing some home remodeling, and we got new couches, so we had to take the old couches out, and we had to clean the house, and there was this whole big ordeal that caused me to not update the page as much as I would have liked. So forgive me for that on that front if you are a fan of the Facebook page. But also on the movie news front, there were some big news items I just mentioned that we're going to talk about, and there was a lot of smaller news items. So this podcast may feel a little light on news because of that, and because I've been so busy, I haven't seen all the news items. So if something big popped up and we don't talk about it, it's because it just kind of slipped by me. Also, there's always news items on the Facebook page that are not on the podcast, and sometimes vice versa. Sometimes there's things that break out here on the podcast first before they're put up on the Facebook page. I don't think that will be the case this week, at least from the way the news cycle is going on right now. It's a little slow, at least at the time of this recording. So, but we got some big news items to talk about. We got some trailers to talk about. So let's just dive right into the news items. We'll talk about, of course, the news items that came out last week after the podcast went up. The only real big news items that came out last week after the podcast went up were some trailers. One of them was the new trailer for the Halle Berry action thriller movie Kidnapped, which will come out in August 4th to be more precise. It's like a lower version of Taken. It's Halle Berry. She plays a mother. She takes her kid out to the park, and the kid disappears. But luckily, she sees the car the car of the kidnappers, and she goes after them. And she kind of has to take things, by force by herself. And this movie was supposed to come out, I believe it was supposed to come out last year, I think around the same time, but it was part of Relatively Media before Relatively Media, filed for bankruptcy, and they were, putting their movies out for other studios to be released. So this movie was, I believe, supposed to come out last year, and then it was supposed to come out earlier this year, but then it got pushed back again, and now it's finally coming out in August. So if you want to go watch this movie, Kidnapped, the trailer's out. Again, the links to the trailers will all be down below in the comment/description. In the description/show notes area. I will never get that right. I will always say comments probably before that. But all the trailers will be linked down below in the description/show notes area. But of course, the big teaser that came out last week after the podcast went up, we talked about it when it was going to come out, was of course the first teaser for Marvel's Black Panther.
Tell me something. What do you know about Wakanda? It's a third world country. Textiles, shepherds, cool outfits. All a front. Explorers have searched for it. Called it El Dorado. They looked for it in South America. But it was in Africa the whole time. I'm the only one who's seen it and made it out alive.
I can see you.
world is changing. Soon, there will only be the conquered and the conquerors.
Step into the spotlight.
You are a good man.
Step into the spotlight.
With a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be a king.
It looks good, guys. I mean, I don't know what to say. It looks good. I mean, it's a teaser, so it's not going to show too much. It's not going to show a lot. It's a teaser. It's supposed to tease us in a lot of things, and we get a lot of cool shots. And I mentioned this on my social medias, my personal social medias, that the CGI looks in some places looks a little wonky, but I did mention that it is the first teaser. They're probably still working on post-production and everything. The movie doesn't come out until next year. It comes out on February 16th. So if you want to mark your calendars for that, you go ahead and you can. But yeah, it's the first teaser. The CGI does look wonky in a few places, but obviously they have more than enough time to go and fix that. I liked it. I liked the teaser for what it was. You know, it's a teaser. Marvel usually does a pretty good job with their teaser trailers, especially for their, you know, movies that maybe not a lot of fans know too much. I mean, maybe not a lot of people know about Black Panther. I mean, of course, we got a little tease of the character in Civil War, but now he's getting his own movie. I like the fact that they're kind of treating Wakanda as this kind of like it's said in the teaser. It's like Wakanda is like this El Dorado. And we get a shot of Wakanda. It looks like this very, big, city. Obviously, if you're not a fan or don't know too much about Black Panther, Wakanda is this technologically advanced country, and we see a little bit of that in the teaser. So, it'll be interesting to kind of see how that works out. We got a lot of glimpses of a few of the characters. Of course, we could see a lot of T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, in there. We briefly, if you blink, you miss it. You see Forrest Whitaker in there, Angela Bassett, Michael B. Jordan, who's playing Killmonger, one of the villains in the movies, in there as well. Of course, we get to see the return, finally confirmed, of Andy Serkis playing Ulysses Klaue, and Martin Freeman's character in there, Everett Ross, in there as well. I liked the teaser. I thought it was great. Again, it wasn't awesome. I think the CGI kind of really, the wonky CGI kind of bothered me a little bit, but it is a teaser, so it's not going to show you everything. So just be aware of that. Alright, so let's move on to the trailers that came out this week. We had a lot of trailers that came out this week. So we're getting into the news items that came out this week. So first off, we're going to talk about trailers. The first trailer we're going to talk about is Goodbye, Christopher Robin. It's the first trailer for the movie. It comes out November 10th. I think it's a limited release on November 10th, and then it's getting a wider release as the weeks go on. It stars Domhnall Gleeson from not just recently, but it came out 2 years now. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. He plays one of the bad guys, the generals, in there, and he's been in a bunch of other stuff as well. The Revenant, About Time, which is a nice little romantic movie that I ended up watching and very, very much enjoyed. Margot Robbie's in there as well. Kelly MacDonald, the voice of Merida from Brave. She's also done a bunch of other stuff as well. But it's a movie about the creator of Winnie the Pooh and his son, and how they created the character during the after effects of World War I. It's a nice little trailer. It looks like it's going to be a very heartwarming story. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this. I knew about this film, but I wasn't one of those films I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go rush out to see this movie. But after watching that trailer, this doesn't look too bad. So Goodbye, Christopher Robin. That was the first trailer. The second trailer we're gonna talk about that came out this week is Daddy's Home 2.
Hey, how's your day? Stepdads and dads don't always get along, but Dusty and I have this co-dad thing on lockdown.
You make treats for tonight, right?
I'll hit the bakery on the way to the pageant.
Bakery?
Look, you don't want me to go to the bakery.
No, usually when you repeat what I said and you shake your head up and down, it really means you don't want me to do it.
I'm just thinking,
What? Maybe homemade?
no problem, Ratty. Homemade snickerdoodles come right up.
All good again, you better count your teeth. Thank you so much for the cocoa. Hey guys, we got a big surprise for you.
Ooh, is it money? A trampoline? Another pony?
This year, Christmas, both families together.
Yay! Hello? Grandpa Kurt?
Look, your father hasn't met the new evolved Dusty.
That's exactly the stuff he's gonna make fun of us for. You'll see.
Dear God. Wow. Is that him? Dress is so cool. Yet I can't picture him actually going shopping.
Dusty. Here you go. Bring the car around on the curb.
This is Sarah's husband.
Why is he here?
Oh, because my dad's coming too.
Daddy! Here's my big man! He hasn't seen his dad in a long time.
It's only been 2 weeks, but it feels like forever.
It does, doesn't it?
And this guy's raising your kids half the time?
Look who's here!
Tell the pop-up joke!
Hey, kids, I got a good one for you. 2 dead hookers wash up on the shore.
No way.
He's gonna ruin Christmas, Brad, I'm telling you.
The only person that can ruin your Christmas is looking back at you from that mirror.
All I see is you, Brad.
Sorry. Right, here. There we go.
Still you, Brad.
Of course, bringing back Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. We also have the introduction of their fathers, because Daddy's Home will bring in the grandfathers, pretty much. Mel Gibson plays Mark Wahlberg's dad, and John Lithgow plays Will Ferrell's dad. Very, just right off the bat, you get like, okay, yeah, of course, these people are playing their fathers. I just saw Daddy's Home, the first one, like last month for the first time, and I didn't mind it. I mean, it wasn't great, but there was a lot of funny parts in there, and I kind of really enjoyed it. And Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg somehow have great. It's not when you like look at them, it's like those two don't have great. Those two cannot have chemistry. They do. They have great chemistry in Daddy's Home. Obviously, they did. What was the other guys? Was the other movie they did? But I didn't mind that. I mean, I didn't mind this. So, I mean, watching the first one, I'm probably gonna go watch this. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's the first trailer. They don't really show too much footage. Really, it's fine. It's a fine trailer. If you like the first one, you'll probably go watch this one, right? This movie also comes out November 10th, so be on the lookout for that. The next trailer we're going to talk about is Happy Death Day. Very, very fitting title. It is a Groundhog Day-esque slasher film from Universal Pictures and Blumhouse Productions. The movie stars Jessica Rothe. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She was in the TV series Mary and Jane. She also had a small role in La La Land. I think she plays one of Emma Stone's friends from the beginning of the movie, if I'm correct on that. But she is a college student who is forced to relive the day of her murder over and over again until she can discover the identity of her killer. The film is co-written and directed by Christopher Landon, who directed the last Paranormal Activity movie, the marked one. Actually, no, that wasn't the last one. The marked ones. That was the second to last one. That was the one that was kind of like its own little movie in itself. But he also directed I'm gonna say it, I didn't mind it. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I didn't actually mind that movie. You know what? It was a fun little. It's a fun little movie if you want to watch it. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Not as bad as you would think. The title probably is ridiculous in itself, but you know what? It's not that bad of a movie, personally, to be honest. So anyway, going to Happy Death Day, the trailer. I mean, the trailer starts off normal. It's like, this girl, she, Jessica Roth's character, the college student, she wakes up and, first of all, if one of your selling points of your trailer is playing a song from, what was the I don't think it was the 90s, I think it was the early 2000s, the 50 Cent song In the Club, if that's your selling point, I don't know, but they play the song multiple times in the movie, or in the trailer, I should say. So it starts off normal. It's this college girl waking up in some dorm room. She probably slept with some guy or something, although we don't know if they slept together, but she wakes up and she's walking out of the dorm room, and she sees all of these things like sprinklers going off and a car alarm going off, and this someone coming to tell her to stop. I think it was global warming, to sign a petition, and then she goes to this party, and we see her. We don't see her actual death, but it's implied that we see her death in the movie, and she wakes up right there where she started again. So it's I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting idea, taking the Groundhog Day-esque concept and adding it to a slasher movie. This movie was originally titled something else, and I can't remember what it was, and I didn't write it down. But I don't know. I mean, it maybe could be good. I don't know. I mean, the trailer again. The concept is interesting. Adding the Groundhog Day-esque concept to a slasher movie, but the execution is going to be what either makes or breaks this movie. So if you want to go, I mean, it's coming out at an appropriate release date. It's coming out on October 13th, Friday the 13th. So if you want to go watch that, you can. The next trailer that came out this week was the first trailer for the Flatliners movie, starring Ellen Page, Diego Luna, Kiersey Clemens, and Nina Dobrev.
Do you have plans tonight? Do you want to have fun with me later?
Courtney Holmes, I am mildly surprised, but offer accepted.
Midnight basement, sublevel C.
What's going on?
I would like you to stop my heart. You give it 1 minute, and then you bring me back.
Okay, now's the point where you say it's all a joke.
What happens to us after we die? The only way to find out is to see for ourselves. We could document that experience. Did you see a white light? It was more like pure energy. How is she playing the piano now? It's like her brain's been rewired.
I'm going next.
Charging 200.
It's a good day to die.
Clear!
Everyone I touch today, I'm gonna heal.
It's an awakening.
3 minutes. Jamie only did 2. What can I say? We're competitive.
I'm going next. 5 minutes.
7 minutes.
No one's ever come back from that.
Was it all fun? Was there anything disturbing? Something is happening to us. I think I'm going crazy.
Maybe we opened a door.
Something is coming for us. Something I did. Something I did. There! Defense just not stabilizing.
This experiment needs to end right now.
Wake up. I should have told you this wasn't about science or discovery. It's been over 4 minutes.
I did not know that the side effects would show up and start hunting us down.
This was my fault.
I want to say I watched the first Flatliners movie, but for whatever reason, I can't remember too much about it. So I think I have to go back and watch the first Flatliners movie. The trailer for this one though, I mean, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's probably gonna be one of those movies where it's like, okay, like we got to figure out. This is another one where it's like, it's obviously it's based off the original movie. I don't think this is a remake or a reboot. I think it's a soft reboot or a soft remake, because if I remember correctly, I think it was earlier this year, maybe even like a few months ago, Kiefer Sutherland did an interview saying that he was going to be in this movie, that he was going to cameo in this movie, but that he was going to play the same character that he did in the original, making this essentially kind of a pseudo sequel to the first one. And if that's the case, then great. I mean, we don't see Kiefer Sutherland in this in this trailer, and it's not even hinted that, you know, someone else had done this before. So if it is a full-blown remake or reboot, that will probably change some perspectives. But if it is kind of a soft remake or a soft reboot or whatever, maybe that will. I don't know how that will affect fans. Again, I don't have too much of a stance on the movie because I can't remember if I watched the first movie or not. But the cast is great. I mean, Ellen Page, she seems to play the lead in this movie. We got Diego Luna in there with some crazy hair. He's got like a mullet hair. Kirstie Clemens is in there. She's great. Nina Dobrev is in there. It looks like she's gonna play like the competitive one. We hear in the trailer like she's competitive. And then we have one of the other guys. I forgot to put his name on here, but he seems to he may be the surrogate for the audience, because he has that shot of him with a baby crying and potentially, you know, seeing something awful. And I think it's him in the trailer saying, you know, I didn't think that whatever it was that we did would come back to haunt us. And I think that's kind of interesting. So hopefully it doesn't go too supernatural. I think maybe that's what will make or break people for this movie. So go check it out yourself, see if you like it. The movie is set to come out on September 29th, so we'll obviously talk about that more when the when the movie gets released. And the final trailer that came out this week is the newest trailer for Catherine Bigelow's newest film, Detroit.
I assume this is about what went on at the motel.
What happened at the motel?
You don't know, I tell you. I was working security by Wisconsin, and on Tuesday night, we heard gunfire coming from the area near the Algiers. Police was there. There was a lot of shooting. When I went in there, 3 kids had been killed.
No. So they were killed right before you got there.
Sir.
You carry a 38, right?
A revolver. You carry a revolver.
I do have a 38.
You ever shoot anyone?
I didn't do it. Police.
Oh, here we go.
Here in Detroit, a city of war, violence continues.
We've made state police and National Guardsmen available.
I'm declaring a public state of emergency.
It's a war zone out there. They're destroying the city.
Police!
I'm just going to assume you're all criminals.
You don't talk about this to anyone ever. You understand?
This city has problems, but change is coming.
I told you what I saw.
I'm trying to help here.
Change is coming.
They're kids. What's the matter with you?
Change is coming.
They're gonna kill us, man.
Change is coming.
I need you to survive the night. Survive the night.
Melvin, you want to go home?
What happened at the motel?
The film is set against the backdrop of the Detroit riots of 1967 and focuses on one specific event that took place during the riots, a raid of a motel that blurred the lines between good cops and bad cops. The film is pretty jam-packed to the gills with cast. John Boyega will play the lead in the movie. We also have Jason Mitchell in there, Will Poultier, I always mispronounce his last name. Will Poultier is going to be in there. Jack Reynor and Anthony Mackie are also going to be in the film amongst many others. This is the second trailer, and both trailers for this movie it makes the movie look good. I mean, I'm really excited to go watch this. It's going to be an anniversary for the Detroit riots, but I'm excited for this movie. Catherine Bigelow hasn't done anything I haven't liked yet. Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, the original Point Break movie. I know those are very different movies, but that's what she did as well. But I'm excited for this. It looks great. It looks like a great. It's gonna be a powerhouse of drama. It's going to be a dramatic film. It's probably going to be a film that, you know, pisses a lot of us off because of the overt racism. You can even see it in the trailers, and especially in this one as well, with John Boyega being interrogated by two white cops in the film. So I'm looking forward to this. I really am. So we don't have to wait too long. The movie will come out on August 4th. So you can go check that out if you can. So those are all the trailers that came out this week. Again, if you want to go check out those trailers yourselves, you can either go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/moviepits, or you can go down below in the description area / show notes area and go check out the links to those said trailers. So let's move on to this week's actual news items. And the first news item, guys, it's going to be 20 years. It's been 20 years. It's going to be 20 years later this month that the greatest comic book film was ever released. I'm sorry, did I say greatest? I meant shittiest comic book film that was ever released. Because it's been nearly 20 years since Batman and Robin was released. And now, finally, after all these years, director Joel Schumacher has officially apologized for bringing that bastard creation of a movie to the big screen and to our lives. I feel kind of bad. No, maybe not. No, I actually don't feel bad. No, scratch that. Schumacher spoke to Vice ahead of the film's 20th anniversary, saying, quote, "Look, I apologize. I want to apologize to every fan that was disappointed because I think I owe them that." End quote. Look at that. He apologized. You think he's the last person to apologize? George Clooney apologized. Alicia Silverstone apologized. I'm pretty sure that maybe Chris O'Donnell apologized. Look, I mean, I know there's defenders out there for Batman and Robin. I get it. You know, if you like that movie, that's fine. But, you know, you're in the minority probably of that group because everyone hates Batman, or not everyone, but most people hate Batman and Robin. I am one of those said people. And I know it's been on recently. I know IFC's been showing it like crazy in the last couple months. But yeah, no, I hate that movie. I really do. All right, let's just move on. I just want to start off the Newsweek right by having that being read. So let's move on. Some quick casting updates and additions. Michelle Monaghan will return for Mission Impossible 6. Moynihan was last seen in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol in a small scene, but had a major supporting role in Mission Impossible 3 as Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt's character, his new wife Julia, in the film. So it looks like she's returning. There's no word yet on how big her role will be, but she will be returning. She, of course, will now join the returning crews, Rebecca Ferguson, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, Sean Harris, and Alec Baldwin, along with new cast members. Henry Cavill, yes, Superman himself, has joined the Mission Impossible 6. We talked about that briefly when that news item broke. Vanessa Kirby and Angela Bassett. Christopher McQuarrie will return to write and direct the film. The film is currently filming at the moment and will be released on July 27th next year. Isla Fisher, I think that's how you say her first name. I always mispronounce her first name. Joins the film comedy Tag. We've been talking about the movie Tag on the podcast recently. So just going to keep continuing to talk about it. The movie is based off the true story featured in the Wall Street Journal about a group of friends who have been playing a no-holds-barred version of the children's game Tag for the last 30 years. The cast already includes people like Ed Helms, Jeremy Renner, Jake Johnson, Hannibal Buress, Annabelle Wallace, Rashida Jones, and John Hamm. And now Fisher has joined the cast as well. Fisher will play Helms' wife, who was reportedly the brains behind the latest and most important tag game in the men's lives. We learned previously that Hamm will play an overachiever in school and now in life, and Johnson will play a pot smoker who lost the love of his life, and Wallace will play the reporter who follows the friends around their competition. Tag will be currently filming soon. I think they're going to start filming next month, and it will be opening next year on June 29th. So we'll have that to look forward to. Again, we've talked about Tag on the podcast before. The concept seems kind of out there and maybe to some people dumb, but we've talked about it before, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what it is. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so let's move on to the next news item. Deadpool 2 adds Japanese actress, I'm going to butcher this name, Shioli Kutsuna, maybe, I don't know, in a key role. So Deadpool 2, of course, continues to grow its cast, and they've just added this Japanese actress for a key role, though what the role is still up in the air. They're not even hinting at what the role is going to be, but she has now joined the cast. She will join the returning cast of Ryan Reynolds, Miranda Baccarin, Leslie Uggams. She played Blind Al in the movie. Stefan, this is another name of a butcher. Kapasik? I don't know. He played Colossus, and of course Brianna Hildebrand, who played Negasonic Teenage Warhead, along with TJ Miller as well. I forgot to say his name. New cast members include Jack Casey. We talked about him when he joined a few weeks ago. Zazie Beetz, who will be playing Domino. She's from the FX show Atlanta. And of course, the big casting, Josh Brolin as Cable. Deadpool 2 will open next year on June 1st. The film will start filming soon, later this year. I believe they start filming in a couple months, if I'm correct on that. Let's move on to the next news item. Reginald Hudlin, yes, his name is Reginald, is set to direct a supernatural superhero film called Shadowman. Hudlin, who has directed films like House Party, The Ladies' Man, and episodes of The Bernie Mac Show, will return to the big screen later this year with Marshall, a film about the first African-American Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall, sorry. He has signed on to direct a supernatural horror film called Shadowman. The character comes from the comic book company Valiant Entertainment and is based around an African-American musician in New Orleans who becomes infected by a spirit that allows him otherworldly abilities. He is a mystical defender of Earth against the demonic invasion. He has to protect against threats from denizens of the netherworld known as the Dead Side. So Shadowman is actually one of the many Valiant properties being developed. Sony Pictures has a 5-picture deal, 5, count them, 5, with the company for its Harbinger and Bloodshot characters. It also has a film in the works developed, not directed, it's being developed by director Ruben Fleischer, who directed Zombieland, and Terry Russo in the property Archie and Armstrong. Don't know what that is. Sony Pictures is also developing a TV show with, I believe, the Russo brothers, but it's a TV show, so this is a movie news podcast, so we're not going to talk about that. The film will be co-written by Hudlin, along with Adam Simon, the showrunner for WGN America's witch-themed series, Salem. So he knows a thing or two about the supernatural. Hudlin does have some superhero and comic book work under his belt. He worked on Black Panther, the comic book, for 4 years, and wrote a comic book adaptation for Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, and a follow-up called Django and Zorro. So he's not just coming in, out of the blue. He actually has some comic book work behind him. I've never heard of Shadowman, so I don't really know what to say too much about this. So, but it seems interesting. I mean, the concept seems interesting. So hopefully they can get a good movie out of it. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the 2 biggest news items of the week. At least again at the time of this recording. Obviously, stuff loves to drop all the time, and if you listen to this podcast enough, you'll realize that sometimes big news items drop after I upload the podcast. So the Conjuring universe is getting a little bigger because there is now a spin-off on The Crooked Man. The Conjuring 2 is getting another spin-off. The Crooked Man. Reports say that Mike Van Ways, I think that's how you say his last name, has been hired to write the script from a story by James Wan, who will also probably be a producer on the film. The character, if you need a refresher, is the tall, slender character that came out of The Spinning Toy. The character itself, unlike the other character that's getting a spin-off from The Conjuring 2, The Nun, because that was a character that was created in post-production and during reshoots, The Crooked Man is actually an English nursery rhyme. And they actually made a Crooked Man movie that came out earlier this year, but of course this movie is going to be based off the Crooked Man that we saw in The Conjuring. And again, it's based off an actual nursery rhyme that you can hear right here. When it comes to the writer, he's been slowly making his way through Hollywood. He actually pitched a horror film set within the world of The Wizard of Oz. He has a film over at Warner Brothers called Hammer Space. And he actually sold a book called Peeves, which actually got picked up by Fox Animation. So he's been making his way through a lot of Hollywood at the moment. No word yet on when The Crooked Man will go into production, but The Nun is currently filming, or is going to start filming soon, I believe like within the next month or so on that. And of course we have Annabelle Creation coming out in August, which is based off the Annabelle, the first movie. It's a prequel. It's a prequel of a prequel, which is in turn a spin-off because it was based off the first Conjuring movie. Yeah, that didn't make any sense. But yeah, that's what they're doing for this. The Crooked Man, I love the concept. I love the design of the Crooked Man in the Conjuring 2, and the fact that he wasn't CGI. He looked CGI in the movie. He actually wasn't CGI. They actually sped him up during in the film. They sped him up in the scenes. He was actually a real person that played the Crooked Man, which actually was kind of cool to learn. So yeah, I mean, I'm not completely against this. Again, at least this has some reasoning behind it, because this actually is based off an English rhyme, but as opposed to The Nun, who was just based off something that James Wan made up at the very end. But I don't know. We'll see how this works out. All right, so let's move on to the biggest news item of the week. X-Men: The Dark Phoenix has locked down a director. It will bring back most of the cast, and it is eyeing a big name to play its villain. So 20th Century Fox has finally set their next X-Men film into motion. X-Men: The Dark Phoenix has a director lined up, and it is a name that has been rumored for a few months now, Simon Kinberg. He has been a producer and a writer for the X-Men films since X-Men: The Last Stand. He's also been involved in Deadpool and any other comic book property. Fantastic Four he was also involved in. He's basically almost kind of like the Kevin Feige for Fox with their Marvel properties. But this will actually, X-Men Dark Phoenix will actually mark his directorial debut. This is the first movie he's going to direct. In addition to Kinberg directing, the film will also bring back the cast that we have come to love or hate, depending on who you are and whether you like the new X-Men movies. James McAvoy will return, Michael Fassbender will also return, Jennifer Lawrence will return, Nicholas Hoult will also return. Also returning other characters and the younger mutants we saw in X-Men Apocalypse: Sophie Turner. Obviously, you can't really have a Dark Phoenix movie without Jean Grey. Ty Sheridan, who played Cyclops, Cody Smith-McPhee, who played Nightcrawler, and Alexandra Shipp, who played Storm. They will also all return. Yes, Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver, is absent from the reports, so either he will probably have a small role in the movie, or he won't be in the movie at all, which will probably be a mistake because a lot of people like his Quicksilver. So maybe they don't have a big enough role for him. Who knows? We'll see. But the biggest casting that is coming from this movie is who they have in talks to play the villain. Fox and Kinberg are in talks to bring Jessica Chastain into the movie to play the villain in the movie, Shi'ar Empress Lilandra. For those unfamiliar with the famous comic book arc of Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey in the comics becomes infected by this cosmic energy that's called the Phoenix Force, which eventually takes her personality over and kind of makes her kind of a bad guy, causing the X-Men to stop her and possibly save her from this alien race, the Shi'ar, because the Shi'ar intends to imprison and destroy the Dark Phoenix, which in turn will of course destroy Jean Grey, which makes them butt heads with the X-Men. And it's interesting that they're making Lyandra, the villain, and they specify her as a villain. So I don't remember if they actually treated her like a villain, because the kind of the way that the Shi'ar are, from what I remember, the way the Shi'ar are introduced and approached, it's that they're not villains. They're doing their duty. They're doing their job, basically, of protecting the world from this dark phoenix, this phoenix force. So I don't know. Maybe they just want to make her more antagonistic. Obviously, if you're attacking our heroes, you're the villain. But I don't know. We'll see how we'll see how they approach that. I know fans have been waiting to see the Dark Phoenix done properly on the big screen. Obviously, the first time we saw it was X-Men: The Last Stand, and that wasn't very, very, very good. And now we have, again, this here. Obviously, bringing the Shi'ar and bringing Lylandra into the mix makes the film, and makes this concept, at least from the looks of it, more appropriate and more connected to the comics than what the Last Stand did. So it should be interesting to kind of see how they go about and how they approach this. Kinberg, when it comes to Kinberg, it should be interesting to kind of see how he also goes with it, because this is his first time directing, so we don't really know what his directing style is. We don't know if he'll be straightforward. We don't know if he'll experiment. It's up there. And Kinberg is a great guy. He seems like a nice guy in interviews. He knows what he's talking about. He's a nerd. He's a fan. So obviously, kind of seeing where he'll go and how he'll approach everything is going to be kind of what. I guess the phrase of the podcast this week, make it or break it for the film. When it comes to Jessica Chastain, as a villain or whatever she's going to be, look, star power is star power, and Jessica Chastain is probably one of the best actresses working today. And she's one of those people that just, it's someone, when you see her walking in, she demands respect and maybe fear. Who knows? So Jessica Chastain is a pretty solid choice. And if they can nail her down, if they can get her to sign on, then more power to them if they can get that done. So it should be interesting to kind of see how she approaches it too, because I don't think she's ever. I mean, I guess you can say Crimson Peak. She was antagonistic in that, but I don't think I've ever actually seen her play a villain. Maybe I just can't remember too well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I hope that bringing the Shi'ar is a great step, but obviously seeing how it turns out will be another thing. Filming is expected to start soon because they actually released a release date for X-Men: The Dark Phoenix. It will come out on November 2nd, 2018. This movie's coming out next year, guys. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. Yeah, X-Men Apocalypse wasn't great. It wasn't awesome, but it had its moments, and I didn't hate it as much. I felt indifferent to it. Let's put it that way. So I can't wait to see what happens here. Obviously, Kinberg. This movie has a lot of question marks. Kinberg, who knows how he'll handle directing duties? How they're gonna approach the Dark Phoenix is gonna be another thing. So I can't wait to see what they do with this. All right. So that's all the movie news items that came out this week. Again, at least at the time of this recording. Obviously, if anything drops, you can go to the Facebook page at facebook.com/moviepit. That's facebook.com/moviepit. And like I mentioned earlier, there are news items that didn't make it into the podcast this week for flow or for timing. One of the big news items that we didn't talk about, I'll tease it out right now. There's a link down below in the description/show notes area about from Variety. They have released an article about whether or not Tom Cruise is to blame for the failure of The Mummy at the box office. It's a rather interesting article if you want to go check it out. Apparently he had maybe too much control over some decisions, and yeah, I'm over the Mummy hate. Mummy's been hated on a lot since it came out, and I'm over it. It's not a good movie, it's not, but just settle down with all the hate. All right. And there's there's some other stuff over on the Facebook page as well. Kevin Smith has a new movie coming out. It's a Christmas themed anthology, a horror anthology. Up there. Well, so there's some other news items up there as well. If you guys want to go check that out, I appreciate it. Give me a like. It's if you're not a fan of the Facebook page yet, it's basically the big news items that come out over the week. It's an early preview of what we're going to talk about on the podcast. But on the podcast, I go a little bit more into those set news items. So, all right, let's move on to this week's releases. We have quite a few releases coming out this week. Let's start off with the big limited releases. The first one is Maudie. It is a movie about a Nova Scotia woman who works as a housekeeper while she hones her skills as an artist and eventually becomes a beloved figure in the community. The film is led by Ethan Hawke and Sally Hawkins. So that is your first limited release of the week. And your other big limited release of the week is The Book of Henry, directed by Colin Trevorrow, who directed, of course, Jurassic World and will direct Star Wars Episode 9. Sometimes things are not always what they seem, especially in a small suburban town where the Carpenter family lives. Single mother, Susanna Carpenter, played by Naomi Watts, works as a waitress at a diner alongside her feisty family friend Sheila, Sarah Silverman. Her youngest son, Peter, played by Jacob Tremblay, is a playful 8-year-old, taking care of everyone and everything in his own unique way, is Susan's older son, Henry, played by Jaden Lieberher. I think that's how you say his last name. At age 11, protector to his adoring younger brother and tireless supporter of his often self-doubting mother, and through investments of the family as a whole, Henry blazes through the days like a comet. Susan discovers that the family next door, which includes Henry's kind classmate Christina, played by Maddie Ziegler, has a dangerous secret, and that Henry has devised a surprising plan to help. As his brainstorming rescue plan for Christina takes shape in the thrilling ways, Suzanne finds herself at the center of it. The film also stars Bobby Moynihan, Lee Pace, and Dean Norris. Dean Norris. I saw the trailer for The Book of Henry, I want to say maybe like a few months ago for the first time. And you know what? It surprised me. I didn't know what to expect. I knew this movie was coming out, and I knew that it was directed by Colin Trevorrow, who was going back to his indie roots after directing Jurassic World and after signing on to direct Star Wars Episode 9. So I was really looking forward to seeing what he was going to do with this. I know the movie's getting a lot of mixed reviews, and for whatever reason, people are really worried about him directing episode 9 now because of the movie getting mixed reviews, which I think is kind of dumb, but I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm still gonna go watch it. The movie. It looked like nothing I expected. I thought it was gonna be like this nice little family drama, and there's like a thriller element in the trailer. So I don't know. I'm still gonna go watch it. So all right. So let's move on to this week's wide releases. This week's first wide release is All Eyes on Me, which is, of course, tells the true, quote-unquote, true and untold story, unquote, of the prolific rapper, actor, poet, and activist Tupac Shakur, played by Demetrius Shipp Jr., which kudos to the casting department because they cast someone that looked a lot like Tupac. The movie is getting some mixed reviews. I know there's been some reviews or some criticisms about the movie so far from people that knew Tupac and had already seen the movie. I think it was Jada Pinkett Smith, who I believe gets played by someone in the movie. She wasn't very kind to the movie. I know. I think 50 Cent. We've mentioned 50 Cent 2 times in this trailer now, or in this podcast now, not trailer. And I think he said that the movie was trash or something like that along those lines. And I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention too much to the reviews. From what I have seen, it has been getting some mixed reviews. So just be cautious of what you want to watch for that. All Eyes on Me. The second movie coming out this week is 47 Meters Down. 2 sisters vacationing in Mexico are trapped in a shark cage at the bottom of the ocean. You can assume where they are, 47 meters down. With less than an hour of oxygen left and great white sharks circling nearby, they must fight to survive. The cast includes Mandy Moore, Clara Hoyt, and Matthew Modine. It looks like just a little, just a fun little maybe B-horror shark movie. I am actually gonna go watch it. I don't know what it is. I think I just maybe I like shark movies more than I think I do. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go watch it. I mean, I didn't really think too much of The Shallows that came out last year with Blake Lively, and that ended up being one of my surprises of the year last year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go watch 47 Meters Down. The next film that will be coming out is Rough Night. A group of friends are horrified when the male stripper they hired for their wild bachelorette party in Miami winds up dead. The film stars Scarlett Johansson, Alana Glazer, Zoe Kravitz, Jillian Bell, Kate McKinnon, Ty Burrell, Dean Winters, Colton Haynes, and Demi Moore. This is a movie that, it's got a good cast. Scarlett Johansson, obviously, Alana Glazer, Zoe Kravitz, Jillian Bell, Kate McKinnon. You got your core ladies there. It's a nice twist on the, bachelor party kind of thing. Kind of like The Hangover, but obviously this is different because they killed somebody. But I don't know. I mean, it's a movie that I will go watch this weekend, but I'm not really kind of rushing out to the theater to go watch it. But it's a movie that I'm gonna go watch, and I think the reviews for this have been weirdly kinder than I thought they were gonna be. But yeah. So the final movie coming out this week, and actually a movie that I saw yesterday, was Cars 3. Or is Cars 3, not was Cars 3. Oh, I mean, was, yeah. Lightning McQueen, voiced once again by Owen Wilson, sets out to prove a new generation of racers that he's still the best race car in the world. The voice cast includes Cristela Alonso, Larry the Cable Guy, Bonnie Hunt, Nathan Fillion, and Armie Hammer, and Chris Cooper, sorry. Kind of skipped over a name there. So yeah, Cars 3, I watched it yesterday. I wasn't really that excited for Cars 3. I ended up going to watch it yesterday, and I kind of enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. It was one of those movies that I wasn't really gonna go watch. I didn't watch the second one, and I heard the second one wasn't really that good anyway. So, and the first Cars wasn't my favorite. It isn't even my favorite Pixar movie. So, I ended up going to go watch Cars 3, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. It wasn't that bad. I mean, the theme that Pixar was going for is kind of simple, and I think they've kind of touched on it on some of their other movies. But as for the movie itself, I think it's pretty good. I mean, the people in my theater really loved it. Like that final race, people were really invested in, and people were actually clapping when the race ended. So I mean, it's not that bad of a movie. It's not. It's a Cars movie. If you don't like Cars, or you do like Cars, I don't know how you'll feel after watching this. So yeah. So Cars 3, Rough Night, 47 Meters Down, and All Eyes on Me are your wide releases. Your limited releases are The Book of Henry and Maudie. Now let's move on to this week's box office predictions. It's where I try to predict the top 5 movies of the box office. Usually I'm right, usually I'm wrong. More than usually I'm wrong. But I've been on a roll recently. I've called the box office. Oh, hit my mic there. I've predicted the box office maybe 4 weeks in a row, something like that. So maybe like a good month I was on a roll. But now that streak has ended, boys and girls. My picks last week were Wonder Woman at number 1, The Mummy at number 2, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie at number 3, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales at number 4, and I thought Megan Levy was going to be at number 5. I thought Megan Levy was going to be at number 5 mainly for the fact that it was a movie about a dog, and usually that's enough for most people. But I was wrong last week. I got the box office right up until number 5. So the box office last week was Wonder Woman at number 1, The Mummy at number 2, Captain Underpants, the first epic movie at number 3, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales at number 4, and at number 5, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So there you go. That was the box office last week. This week it's going to be another tough one to call, because we have a lot of new movies coming out. We have a more variety of big movies coming out this week than last week. So it should be interesting to kind of see how this pans out. Now, it's going to be a tough one for the number 1. all week I thought, I really thought that maybe Wonder Woman would be number one again, making it the third week in a row being a number one. But I forget that Cars, the only reason that there's 3 Cars is because they sell toys and people like, little kids like this movie. So I switched it up at the last minute, and I think Cars 3 is going to be number one at the box office this weekend. I think it'll probably be close, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Wonder Woman was still making a lot of money last week, so Cars 3 will probably be number one this week at the box office this weekend. Wonder Woman will probably still be number 2. I'm predicting Wonder Woman will be number 2. Number 3, I think Rough Night. It's a movie led by a bunch of ladies that people like. It's a bachelorette party movie. It's a nice gender bend of the genre, so why not? The Mummy will come in at number 4, and number 5, once again, number 5 is going to be tricky for me, but I think number 5 is going to be All Eyes on Me. It's a Tupac movie. It doesn't matter what the reviews are going to say. People are going to go watch it. Some movies are review proof. I'm looking at you, Transformers. But yeah, so my picks this week, once again, at number 5, All Eyes on Me, at number 4, The Mummy, at number 3, Rough Night, at number 2, Wonder Woman, and the top movie that I'm predicting will be the top movie at the box office this week will be Cars 3. Alright guys, that's all I got for you guys this week. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. You guys have been great. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you do listen, and you listen all the way through, let me know what movie you're looking forward toward this weekend. Is it Cars? Is it All Eyes on Me? Is it Rough Night? Is it 47 Meters Down? Are you going to go watch Wonder Woman again? Or for the first time? You're going to give The Mummy a shot? Probably not, because people have been bashing it online like crazy. But let me know what you're going to go watch this weekend. Let me know what you thought of the movie news items this week. What are your thoughts on the movie news items of the week? Because I can give my opinion all I want, since it is my podcast, but I want to know your guys' opinion on these news items. You guys can go find me at the Facebook page of The Movie Pit. That's facebook.com/The Movie Pit. Again, link will be down below in the description/show notes area. While you're down there, you can also go check out my WordPress account, which is movieswithchris.wordpress.com. That's movieswithchris.wordpress.com, movieswithchris.wordpress.com. Is that what I said before? I don't remember. I literally just said it, I don't remember. So there's a link down there. I have non-spoiler written reviews. So no spoilers in the reviews for there. I also do monthly previews of the movies coming out. And I'm going to release an article or a blog post soon about the movies that I will be spoiler reviewing for the podcast this weekend. So next week, I won't be doing any reviews for Cars. There is a written review for Cars up on the WordPress account right now. I do plan on going to go watch 47 Meters Down. That may be number 5 at the box office too. I didn't even think about that. But there will be a written review for that. There'll probably be a written review for Rough Night as well. Who knows? There will be written reviews up there, either over the weekend or during the week for sure. So go check that out. And you can go follow me on social media. My Twitter and my Instagram are down below as well. That's Chris Renteria 27. If you guys want to go follow me on there. And yeah, I will eventually make a Twitter and Instagram page, probably just for the Facebook page. At least a Twitter page, so you guys can go follow me and give me guys your thoughts and get you guys more interactive in the podcast as well. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. So thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. Again, if you want to go check out the trailers, links are down there as well. The article from Variety is also down there of whether or not Tom Cruise was the reason why The Mummy was a failure at the box office, quote-unquote failure, because it's doing very well overseas. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Let me know what you guys thought of the podcast down below. Go give me a like, go give me a follow, go subscribe, do all the stuff that keeps you guys updated on the podcast as much as possible. I'm losing my voice. I'm done. Thank you guys. I'm Christian. This has been the Movie Pit Podcast. Hopefully you guys have a safe, fun weekend. And as always, go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!